So today's video is, if you can't tell by the title, it is gonna be a more serious video. This is a topic I've definitely wanted to talk about for a very long time and have been collecting research and reading articles and all this stuff to finally come up with my way of telling it and just bringing awareness to such an important situation that I feel everyone should be more focused on, especially people of my age who aren't necessarily aware of it. So we're going to be talking about climate change, global warming, all of that. So a lot of the information I got was online because I wanted to give you the best of the best information I can give you. So don't get upset if I'm reading too much because a lot of these are facts, and I know you could just go and Google it yourself if you wanted to, but I really want to just talk about it and give my opinion on it. And every article and any links I have taken notes on it and stuff like that will be in my description box below. I made a Google Doc so you guys can feel free to check it out and see the articles I have on there. So let's get into this video. So climate change is very real, and it's something that we need to stop sweeping under the rug. I just read an article about the EPA like altering numbers for the amount of people who, I don't even know, it was something that had to do with climate, and they were altering the numbers to make it look like it was not as bad as it actually is, which is mind-blowing that they are able to get away with that kind of stuff. But all those people running these big industries and government officials, all of them will be dead by the time climate change really comes to affect us. What I've learned is it takes 30 years for a climate to officially change, which means 30 years prior from this time period, the climate was a lot different. However, with the amount of greenhouse gases coming in and fossil fuels being burned, we are creating the global temperature to increase. Now, I'm going to explain this to you because you might hear fossil fuels, greenhouse gases, not know what I'm talking about. So I'm going to explain the greenhouse effect to you guys. So when sunlight hits the Earth's surface, what's supposed to happen is light reflects and so does heat. However, what's happening right now, this is why it's called the greenhouse effect, is as sunlight is hitting the Earth's surface, heat isn't leaving the atmosphere, it's getting trapped in the atmosphere, if that makes sense. And the reason for this is because of the greenhouse gases.
Sunlight penetrates the gas layer of the atmosphere. It's partly absorbed and partly reflected, just like in a greenhouse. Small particles in the air ensure that a percentage of the reflected radiation is sent back to Earth. However, humans cause a lot of pollution by producing large amounts of carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide. The small particles increase in number, and the result is just like a greenhouse where the glass is too thick. So an increased amount of radiation is sent back to Earth, and the heat is unable to escape, causing temperatures to rise constantly.
Water vapor, carbon dioxide, nitrous oxides, and methane. Those are greenhouse gases, and those are what are being trapped in our atmosphere due to things we as humans are doing. An example of greenhouse gases, deforestation. So many forests are being cut down, the jungles even are being cut down for cattle farming, and the amount of methane that cattle produce is strenuous, and it's going into our atmosphere, and that's a greenhouse gas, and that is one of the major factors of global warming.
And it's impacting climate change. Each of Earth's 1.6 billion cows releases about 100 kilograms of methane every year. This might not sound like much, but methane's effect on the climate is 23 times more than carbon dioxide. Methane traps in the heat of the sun and makes the whole planet warmer. So each cow's emissions are about the same as burning 1,000 liters of petrol every year. Cows are mostly responsible for 18% of the total greenhouse gases worldwide. That's more than the entire transportation sector put together.
So when you cut down trees, carbon dioxide is being released into the atmosphere. However, if you plant new trees, guess what it does? the trees absorb the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, and carbon dioxide is one of the greenhouse gases. So that's why I don't understand why we continue to cut down trees for unnecessary reasons like cattle farming. I believe that is absolutely 100% not necessary, and I will be explaining more on that. 600 to 2.6 billion tons of carbon dioxide, a greenhouse gas, are being released into our atmosphere every single year. And folks, these aren't just numbers I'm saying, these are facts. These are something that you shouldn't hear this and be like, oh, whatever. This is serious. That is insane amount of carbon dioxide being put into our atmosphere, being the barrier that traps all the heat into our atmosphere and on our planet Earth. Cattle, dairy cows, buffaloes, camels, sheep, pigs, and even horses are big contributors to the amount of methane being put into our atmosphere. And as I've stated many times before, methane is a greenhouse gas. Methane is trapping heat into our atmosphere. Methane's not good. Methane shouldn't be being released at the rate it is and at how much it is. It's unnatural and it's not working with our planet very well. Livestock accounts for 1/4 of emissions of methane being produced every year, which is 100 million tons of methane being put into our atmosphere every single year. And it's not just farming, however, that is a major contribution. You have human waste like landfills are producing a lot of methane.
Rubbish that isn't recycled goes into enormous pits called landfill. These pits are filled to the top with rubbish and then covered over. But as the rubbish rots, it produces lots of a gas called methane. Methane is what is known as a greenhouse gas. Too much greenhouse gas changes the world's climate and makes it hotter. Also, nasty poisonous liquid leaks out, and this has to be treated like sewage to make it safe. Yuck!
So I'm going to talk about factory farming, one of the major contributions of methane emissions into our atmosphere, and honestly, morally, completely disgusting. According to National Geographic, to provide enough beef, chicken, and pork, the livestock industry moved to factory farming. I'm going to be reading what National Geographic said. Producing 8 ounces of beef requires 6,600 gallons of water. 95% of the world's soybean crops are consumed by farm animals, and 16% of the world's methane produced by flagellant livestock. The enormous quantities of manure produced by factory farms become toxic waste rather than fertilizer, and runoff threatens nearby streams. The information I just gave you about the factory farming industry and the amount of water, first of all, water, I don't know if a whole lot of people know this, but water is becoming a major thing people have to pay attention to. Getting fresh water especially. They have found, even in the most remote jungles, rivers, and streams, microscopic pieces of plastic. The pollution of water is crazy, and it's getting worse and worse and worse. Just look at the ocean.
New water restrictions have been imposed in Cape Town, South Africa.
In India, rising temperatures threaten to make a severe water crisis there even worse.
The greatest global risks of our time, the shortage of water.
By 2050, the United Nations says more than 5 billion people could be facing water shortages across the globe.
Normal is gone because humans are now changing the climate, and we're in a completely new set of conditions and environments and extreme events.
You can look at water problems and easily work yourself into a panic.
So I want to talk about consumerism now, because we are in the day and age of supply and demand. We are in a day of age of materialism, and we are in a day of an age of overall ignorance. The amount of things on YouTube I see of people just like doing reviews of products and, oh, I spent $3,000 on all this stuff I don't need, but I'm gonna review it and I'm gonna gain a bunch of money from this, and also I'm going to pollute our earth while doing it. The problem with having money and stuff is money's not gonna save you from the effects of climate change and the natural disasters that are just gonna build up and build up and build up unless you have enough money to build yourself a spaceship and live a sustainable life outside of Earth. Money isn't gonna save you, and I hate to break it to you, you can spend all the money in the world on the perfect house. That doesn't mean anything. You need food, water, just an overall healthy environment, and that's not gonna happen if we don't all take a stand and try to make better of the world we all live in, because in the end of the day we all have to work together and to make it work. And if only if like 10% of our population is actually doing something about it, that it's not our job, it's everyone's job. So according to the Grist, they wrote, a new study published in the Journal of Industrial Ecology shows that the stuff we consume, from food to knickknacks, is responsible for 60% of global greenhouse gases and between 50 and 80% of total land, material, and water use. So you're gonna want to do some comfort shopping, but between 60 and 80% of the impacts on the planet come from household consumption. If we changed our consumption habits, this would have a drastic effect on our environmental footprint, according to Diane Ivana, a PhD. This passage I thought was really important and I really wanted to read it. Approximately 1.7 billion people worldwide now belong to the consumer class, the group of people characterized by diets of highly processed food, desire for bigger houses, more and bigger cars, higher level of debt, and lifestyles devoted to the accumulation of non-essential goods.
If you're watching this video right now, you are likely in the top 10% of the world's population as far as wealth goes. If you have clothes, food to eat, clean water to drink, a little bit of money, and a roof over your head, you have it all to the millions of people who don't have clean water to drink, who are so poor that they can't eat. We're over here in first world countries worshiping things.
I'm literally home decor obsessed. I've been doing a lot of shopping at Home Goods, TJ Maxx, Marshalls, all over, like everywhere that sells home decor. Purple! What's that? Farmhousey tiered trays are so in right now. How cute is this? Look how big it is! I knew I had to have this sign. It's so beautiful. How'd you have this? A really cute way to display like crackers and cheese. I basically have to have it.
Set is so adorable.
How adorable is this?
If you love something, you don't set it free, you buy it.
Together as a society, we have co-created and been sucked in to the world of materialism, where we literally give our souls, our mind, will, and emotions to things.
The report addresses the devastating tolls on the Earth's water supply and natural resources and ecosystem exacted by a plethora of disposable cameras, plastic garbage bags, and other cheaply made goods with built-in product obsoleteness and cheaply made manufactured goods that lead to a throwaway mentality. That's going to the store with your bag and throwing away that bag after using it to carry your stuff. That's like getting a plastic fork and throwing it away right after that. To speak on this from personal experience, I understand there's been a notion going on social media, stop using straws, you're killing the turtles. You're killing a lot more than the turtles. And I feel like it's really hypocritical of people to promote just that one specific thing, especially if you are going to continue to pollute other things like turtles. Not to shadow them or anything, they are very important to our ecosystem, but they aren't the only thing important to our ecosystem. Like the Great Barrier Reef, coral, that's very important to the ocean. That's basically what keeps the ocean running. It's like part of the ocean and we don't care. We're killing it.
And there are literally millions of species that subsist in, on, and around coral reefs. These structures have been around for millions of years, so it's safe to say there are likely fish, crustaceans, and algae that evolved to live on those reefs and nowhere else. Coral also control how much carbon dioxide is in the ocean. They take the carbon dioxide out of the water and they use it to build their calcium carbonate skeletons. Without coral, the amount of CO2 in the water would affect the whole planet. But luckily, they trap it in stone for us all. And if housing species looking awesome and saving the planet wasn't enough, coral reefs alter how the ocean affects us on the shore. The reefs build up over millions of years and can survive in warm, shallow water as well as colder, deeper water. Reefs can span massive areas and undulate like mountain ranges. They build themselves to withstand typhoons, hurricanes, and other tropical storms, and therefore buffer the shore against those waves, storms, and floods. Today, coral are in trouble. Coral are sensitive to water temperature, so global warming and climate change is bad. Ocean acidification, ecotourism, and commercial overfishing are all beginning to kill off these tiny animals.
Yeah, that's why I have a problem when I go online and stuff and I see all these people doing outfit reviews or product reviews of things that are definitely non-essential, and I am guilty to this too. I have bought things impulsively that I don't need. I try to limit what I buy. I don't own a whole lot of stuff to begin with. For instance, like I don't go clothes shopping. I don't do any of that. The majority of my clothes are hand-me-downs, or clothes I've gotten from my friends, or if I get gift cards places, I will go out and buy clothes. But I don't go out of my way to purchase things that are definitely unnecessary, and I don't go out of my way to just overall live a materialistic life and have a materialistic mentality, because I can guarantee you a lot of like what I see on a daily basis is very materialistic. It's all about the products and supply and demand, like I said, and that's my problem with like apps like Dote, which promote shopping, but that having the amount of like energy and pollution it takes to manufacture the clothes and then ship them across the ocean and then ship them to your house personally, it's just a lot of pollution and greenhouse gases and fossil fuels being burnt and put into our atmosphere, and it's a lot of wasted energy and it's not good. So like that's my problem with this day and age. It bugs me that people with like big followings and stuff aren't talking about this. In fact, they're actually doing the opposite and promoting the opposite of what needs to be talked about, and that is just mind-blowing. It just aggravated me at how everyone was obsessed with the Tati and James stuff, but then there's these environmental issues that I could go up and ask someone about and they'd have no idea what they're talking about. Not only that, I look at a lot of Instagram stuff and just like fact check them and just like overall I'll read the comments, and on the environmental posts on comments, the most ignorant things are said by people, and it's just so mind-blowing at how ignorant people are to these topics and try to justify things without having done research beforehand or do anything to better themselves, you know? It's so annoying, but let's get back into this. That was my little rant about consumerism. Please, this one small thing you could do is shop less, use less. Yeah, and also another thing that's really important that we need to talk about is the burning of fossil fuels like coal, and coal is what basically gives you electricity, gives you energy, and I know in America that's more done on the eastern region. So a lot of sulfur is in the air and CO2, and that's just really polluting, and air quality is bad. Like me living in California, all the pollution from China, which is a major industry of manufacturing and giving goods to America, all their pollution blows over to us. So that gives California, it all goes around. What comes around goes around, you know?
Fossil fuels like oil, coal, and natural gas are the remains of living things from millions of years ago. They're mainly composed of carbon with varying amounts of hydrogen. If you collect all the exhaust gases from your car during a journey and squash them into a bottle so that they can be weighed, compared with the weight of petrol burnt, the exhaust gases will weigh much heavier because oxygen from the air has been added. Here is a bit of a petrol molecule. H2CCH2. It joins with 6 oxygen atoms, or 3 molecules, to build up hydrogen oxide, or water vapour, and carbon dioxide, another 2 molecules. Before the world became industrialised by burning fossil fuels, the carbon dioxide concentration in the atmosphere was about 0.28%, tiny compared with oxygen at 21% and nitrogen at 78%, but enough to keep us warm. Without this natural blanket of insulating gas, the Earth would be too cold to support life as we know it. But this carbon dioxide, released when fossil fuels burn, adds to the existing carbon dioxide levels, which are now nearly 50% higher than in pre-industrial times. Some people think that living things contribute to the enhanced greenhouse effect because they breathe out carbon dioxide. But this carbon has come from their food, and that's come from plants, which took carbon from the atmosphere in what is called the carbon cycle. We are also throwing away other gases into the atmosphere, which help trap infrared radiation, and so also enhance the natural greenhouse effect.
So there are definitely effects of climate change, of global increase. I know the most popular one is the glaciers melting, and that is really devastating to see, just videos of just all of that. It's really, really unfortunate to see all of this melting. Glaciers melting raise sea levels. I don't know. I watched this documentary with Jack Black. It took place in Florida, and it was just about Florida's floodings and how it's just gradually going to go underwater. And I believe their prediction was by 2050, a lot of Florida would be underwater, because like, you guys, I definitely recommend. I don't know the name of it off the top of my head, but I'll link it in the description. Jack Black basically investigates it, and way inland in Florida, there was flooding happening. And what they said is Florida is built off of limestone, and limestone has holes in it. So what's happening is, as sea level rise, water is going right under and it's raising up. So like, you're way inland in Florida and you have this huge flood and you don't know what it is. It's not rain, it's literally coming from the ground. And I know a lot of people in Florida are trying to ignore this problem, don't want to acknowledge it, don't want to believe it's real. So there were ideas of like building up, but you can only build up so much, it's all going to collapse in. So yeah, I feel like states in that region like Louisiana, they're definitely at risk for just going under due to sea level rise, which is a major, major problem. And it's scary to think about. And once that day's coming soon, people, these days are coming soon. This isn't something that's gonna happen after you're gone. Maybe for some of you it is, but this is coming soon, like 2030, 2050. My prediction is 2050, and that's what a lot of other people, but I've seen things about 2030, like I've already seen effects. Living in California, the California fires, that was dangerous. And I know in California, the way the ecosystem kind of works is like, before people inhabited it, basically top layer of soil, and then it dries up, lightning hits, it goes on fire, and then it burns basically all the dead debris on top, and then that goes back into the soil, and then things are able to grow. That's why a lot of animals live underground, because then when they go in their little holes, the fire won't affect them. But it's been getting really bad, and it's built up, and the fires are becoming way, way worse, and it's becoming really dangerous. And that's not just like the only thing. Like, wasn't there really bad flooding in the Midwest earlier this year? And then I heard there was flooding in Italy, and then there's hurricanes, and natural disasters are getting a lot worse, and you can see it now. 2019, you're seeing effects of natural disaster now, and that is the climate change. That is global warming. According to NASA site, droughts with heat waves coming in and out. So frost season will lengthen, precipitation patterns will change, summer temperatures rise. So a lot of things will happen that are really negative and scary to think about. It's scary that I'm gonna live in a day and age where this is gonna be a major problem, and people are ignoring this problem. People aren't willing to do the research, willing to make sacrifices for the better help of our planet and our humanity and society of this earth. We're all earthlings on this earth, and we live together, and we all need to do something to help it, because what we are doing now, it's so scary. I I understand you reading a post on Instagram about it, but this is scary. This is very, very scary. I can't emphasize more at how scary this is, and people aren't taking this seriously. People think someone else is going to do the job for them. This isn't a job for someone else to do. This is a job for all of us to do. And I did as my contribution, and I will continue this, is, like I said before, you have to make sacrifices to help our earth. You might not like it, but it is something that is required if you're going to live on this earth. And I decided, I've been a vegetarian for 4 years, and I finally have decided to go vegan. I'll do a video about veganism and the whole spiel on a different video, because there's a lot of misconceptions with being vegan, and it is not true. I ditched plastic. I obviously can't do that 100% since plastic is everywhere, but I try my best of my ability to not use plastic products and not go out. And like I said, I am not a materialistic person. I don't live that consumerism life. You too can give that up. You can realize things are things. You don't need things. What you need is an earth that's safe to live on. What you need is shelter and food, and that you can have if you take care of our world. The problem is, this is what I think is gonna happen. The world's gonna become so bad. Like, you aren't going to be, these luxuries aren't gonna be available, because first of all, like, the price of oil is going to continue to increase, just letting you know, because of all this driving we're doing, which also burns a lot of fossil fuels. When you leave your exhaust on, it drives me nuts when I see people just sitting in their car with their car on and the exhaust running. It drives me nuts, because that's so incredibly bad for the environment. If you can carpool, that would be amazing. Even better if you can ride a bike. Even better. Give up the animal product, because that's one of the first industries that need to go. And whether you like it or not, that's just the hardcore truth. I understand you like beef. I hear that plenty, but guess what? And to start helping, sacrifices. That's what you gotta do. You gotta be less self-centered, and you gotta give up certain things. You can't let others do the work for you, because it's not going to work. It's a team effort. We can't do this without everyone. And we really, really need everyone to be knowledgeable and to care. Posting about it on social media, but not doing anything about it, that's nothing. That means absolutely nothing. You aren't doing anything. You're just following a trend. That doesn't do anything. You actually have to go out and do something. Please, 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 please look into this more. Like I said, I left my documents down below in the description. I have articles from National Geographic, NASA made a whole thing about this. This is real. I'm not making this up. No one's making this up. I don't know what more I can say. If you need me to make another video elaborating on certain topics that I've discussed in this video, please leave a comment down below. And I guess that's all I have to say today. Thank you guys for watching, and until next time.
I've been directed by General Counsel at the government agency in which I work to deliver a disclaimer. The following words are those of my own. They represent my own opinion, not the position of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, and I'm speaking on my own behalf and not for the government. After 14 years of research, I'm here to tell you that it does pose a grave threat to public health. Not only the health, but the livelihood and livability of humans on this planet. I feel that in some regards, my job has been to document in minute detail the slow demise of human survivability on this planet. I am not kidding. I found my access to speaking engagements, media requests, television appearances abruptly halted. I was called into the director's office and told to stop using the words climate change. Luber, can you find some other way to talk about it? Call it extreme weather. I said, it's not extreme weather. It's about all kinds of things. Not long after, I was served a termination notice that detailed a long list of interesting, fabricated, anonymous, and false charges. However, while I'm still employed, I'm unable to continue the work that I've dedicated my career to. In fact, I'm actually prohibited from entering the CDC campus that I work at. I'm on what you call a BOLO list. Be on the lookout. I'm not kidding. I've seen it. It's a sheet of paper with a mugshot, and Luber's not allowed in. Which means that if I try to enter campus, I'm stopped by security, myself and my car are searched, and I'm not allowed on campus. I work full-time at home. My yard looks really good. The real under-recognized story of climate change is its threat to human beings. It isn't about polar bears, plants, or penguins, but really about people. It isn't some distant threat, it's some distant date. It is a real and present danger now and in our communities.